The Judgment Day. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her laboratory window in the International Space Research Center, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant hues of orange and purple. The view would have been beautiful if not for the burning knot in her stomach. Her quantum communications array had been picking up unusual patterns in the background radiation of space, patterns that suggested massive fleet movements near the edge of our solar system. The door to her lab slid open with a soft hiss. "Dr. Chen, you need to see this." Her assistant, James Kumar, looked pale as he rushed to her workstation. The Galactic Council's ships, they're not just passing through. They're forming a blockade. Sarah's heart sank. For months, she had been warning the Earth's leadership about the growing hostility from certain Council factions. As humanity's leading expert on alien civilizations, she had noticed the subtle shifts in diplomatic communications, the increasing restrictions on technology sharing, and the way other species had begun to distance themselves from human representatives. "Get me a direct line to General Hayes," Sarah ordered, her fingers flying across the holographic display. "The Council's making their move." But before James could reach the quantum comm unit, every screen in the laboratory flickered to life. The Galactic Council's insignia, a spiral of stars wrapped around a central pillar of light, filled each display. Sarah felt her blood run cold. The message that followed was brief but devastating. By unanimous decision of the Grand Assembly, Earth has been classified as a Class 1 dangerous species. All diplomatic relations are hereby severed. Any attempt to breach the quarantine zone will be met with immediate force. Within hours, the news spread across every corner of Earth. Panic gripped major cities as people realized the implications. The Galactic Council, humanity's gateway to the stars for the past 30 years, had just labeled them as dangerous animals to be caged. In Washington, D.C., an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council convened. Sarah found herself standing before the world's most powerful leaders, explaining what she had discovered in her research. "The Council fears us," she stated, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Not for what we are, but for what we could become. My analysis of their historical records shows a pattern. They've done this before to species that developed too quickly, that showed too much potential." "And what happened to those species?" The Chinese representative's question hung heavy in the air. Sarah met his gaze. "They disappeared from the historical record. Completely." The room erupted in heated discussion. Some advocated immediate military preparation, others suggested attempting diplomatic negotiations. But Sarah knew better. She had spent years studying the Council's technology, their tactics, their philosophy. "We don't have time for either option." She cut through the chaos. "The Council doesn't make empty threats. Based on their standard protocols, we have at most 3 months before they begin their containment procedures." "What are you suggesting, Dr. Chen?" General Hayes asked, his weathered face grave. Sarah activated her tablet, projecting a series of complex diagrams into the air. "For the past 5 years, my team has been reverse engineering certain aspects of Council technology. We've made breakthroughs they don't know about. Breakthroughs we kept secret because we suspected this day might come." The diagrams showed a revolutionary propulsion system, a new type of energy shield, and weapons that could match Council technology. But most importantly, they showed something the Council had never seen before: a quantum phase drive that could bypass their blockade entirely. "They expect us to either submit or fight conventionally," Sarah continued. "They don't expect us to innovate, to think outside their rigid structures. That's why they fear us, because we don't play by their rules." As if to punctuate her words, the building shook slightly. On the massive screens behind her, satellite feeds showed more Council ships arriving, their massive forms blocking out the stars as they took position around Earth. "How quickly can we implement these technologies?" General Hayes asked, already reaching for his secure phone. "With a global effort, 3 months," Sarah replied. "The same amount of time we have before they attack." The UN Secretary-General stood, his decision made. then we have no choice. As of this moment, Earth is at war. Not a war of aggression, but a war for survival. Dr. Chen, you'll head up the technology division of our new Earth Defense Force. General Hayes will coordinate our military response. Sarah looked back at the screens, at the Council ships that thought they had humanity trapped. They didn't understand what they had just done. By trying to cage humanity, they had forced us to evolve, to innovate, to become something greater than we had been before. The Council had made a critical mistake. They had given humanity a deadline, a challenge, and a reason to unite. They thought they were containing a threat. Instead, they were about to witness the birth of something unprecedented, humanity unleashed. As Sarah left the meeting, her quantum comm unit picked up another spike in background radiation. More Council ships were arriving. Let them come, she thought. In 3 months, they would learn what humanity was truly capable of. The race against time had begun. Rising from the ashes, the massive underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains hummed with activity. 80 days had passed since the Council's ultimatum, and humanity had not wasted a single minute. Commander Marcus Rodriguez walked through the central hangar, his footsteps echoing off the steel walls as he observed the fruits of Earth's desperate labor. Before him stood the Phoenix, humanity's first true warship. Unlike the clunky vessels they had built before, this ship incorporated Dr. Chen's breakthrough technologies. Its sleek hull was covered in quantum phase plating that could shift the entire ship slightly out of normal spacetime, making it nearly impossible to target. But it was what lay within that made Marcus smile, the temporal displacement drive that would allow them to bypass the Council's blockade entirely. Impressive, isn't it? Dr. Chen's voice came from behind him. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes testament to countless sleepless nights, but there was a fire in her expression that matched the intensity in Marcus's own heart. Will she be ready in time? He asked, watching as teams of engineers made final adjustments to the ship's systems. Sarah nodded, pulling up a holographic display of the ship's specs. The Phoenix is just the beginning. We have 5 more vessels nearly complete in facilities across the globe. But more importantly, we've made an unexpected discovery. She led Marcus to a secure laboratory adjacent to the hangar. Inside, floating in a containment field, was what appeared to be a small crystal, no larger than a playing card. It pulsed with an inner light that seemed to bend reality around it. We found this while mining asteroids for quantum phase materials, Sarah explained. It's not natural, and it's definitely not Council technology. This crystal is millions of years old, but it's more advanced than anything the Council has. It's like finding a smartphone in a medieval castle. Marcus studied the crystal, noting how its light seemed to respond to their presence. You think there was another civilization before the Council? I think the Council has been lying to everyone about the history of our galaxy, Sarah replied. And I think they knew Earth might discover the truth. That's why they moved against us so quickly. Their conversation was interrupted by a general alarm. Red lights flashed throughout the facility as General Hayes's voice came over the intercom. Council ships are moving. They're ahead of schedule. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. Marcus was already running back to the hangar. Sarah close behind. How many ships are ready? He shouted over the chaos of personnel scrambling to their positions. The Phoenix and 2 others, Sarah replied. The Artemis in Europe and the Dragon in Asia. They're not fully tested, but they'll fly. Marcus reached the Phoenix's command deck, where his hand-picked crew was already preparing for launch. Then we make it work. Dr. Chen, you're with us. Your knowledge of the crystal might be the edge we need. Through the facility's sensors, they watched as the Council's fleet began to move. Hundreds of ships, each one dwarfing Earth's largest vessels, shifted into attack formations. They had expected this, but not so soon. The Council was breaking its own protocols, attacking before their stated deadline. They're scared, Sarah realized, strapping into her station beside Marcus. They detected our quantum phase signatures. They know we've developed something new. Marcus smiled grimly. Good. Let's show them they were right to be afraid. All ships. This is Commander Rodriguez. Launch sequence initiated. The Phoenix rose from its underground berth, its quantum phase drive humming with power. Across the globe, the Artemis and Dragon did the same. 3 ships against an armada. But these ships represented something the Council had never faced before. Human ingenuity unleashed from its chains. Council vessels launching first strike. The tactical officer reported. Multiple energy weapons charging. Engage quantum phase shields, Marcus ordered. Push the drive to maximum. Let's show them what we can do. The Phoenix's drive activated, and reality seemed to blur around them. The Council's energy weapons passed harmlessly through space where they had been a microsecond before. The ship moved like nothing the galaxy had ever seen, dancing between normal space and the quantum realm. Sir, the science officer called out, the crystal. It's reacting to the drive. Sarah was already analyzing the readings. The crystal's not just similar to our technology, it's compatible with it. It's amplifying our quantum field. Marcus watched as the Council fleet scrambled to adapt to their new tactics. Can we use it? Sarah's fingers flew across her console, integrating it now. But sir, there's something else. The crystal's sending out a signal. A very specific signal. Before Marcus could respond, space itself seemed to tear open behind the Council fleet. A new ship emerged, massive and ancient, its design unlike anything human or Council. It was answering the crystal's call. As the crew watched in awe, Sarah's console lit up with a transmission. The message was simple, in a language older than the Council itself. The children of Earth have proven worthy. The time has come to restore the true order of the galaxy. The battle for Earth's survival had just become something much bigger. Humanity hadn't just developed new technology. They had awakened something ancient, something powerful. And the galaxy would never be the same. The Hidden Alliance. The ancient vessel dwarfed even the largest Council ships, its crystalline surface reflecting starlight in ways that seemed to defy physics. From the Phoenix's bridge, Commander Rodriguez watched as the Council fleet scattered, their rigid battle formations breaking apart in what could only be described as panic. They recognize it, Sarah whispered, her eyes fixed on the readings from the ancient ship. The Council knows what this is, and they're terrified. The massive vessel's next transmission came not in the ancient language, but in perfectly clear standard galactic. Council vessels, you have breached the ancient protocols. Your authority is hereby suspended. Earth forces, we request coordination. Marcus exchanged glances with Sarah before responding. This is Commander Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Force. We're open to coordination. A shimmer of light filled the bridge, and suddenly they weren't alone. A figure stood before them, humanoid but clearly artificial, its form composed of interlocking crystalline segments similar to the material of their ship. I am Guardian Architect 09, last active sentinel of the Precursor Defense Network. Sarah stepped forward, the crystal they had discovered pulsing in sync with the being's presence. You're from the civilization that came before the Council. Correct, Dr. Chen. We are what your people might call a contingency plan. The Council was never meant to be the ultimate authority in this galaxy. They were meant to be caretakers, guiding new species until they were ready to join the greater community as equals. Through the view screen, they watched as more tiers in space appeared. Ships emerged, different from both Council and Precursor designs. Marcus recognized some of their configurations from classified reports. They belonged to species that had supposedly gone extinct or disappeared after Council containment actions. You're not the first species the Council has tried to suppress, Zara 9 continued, but you may be the last. Your development of quantum phase technology, achieved independently and in defiance of Council restrictions, has triggered our awakening protocols. The other species, Marcus gestured to the gathering fleet. They survived. In hidden systems, protected by our network. The Arethi, masters of bioorganic technology. The Valari, whose understanding of dark energy rivals our own. The Nexus Collective, beams of pure information, all deemed too dangerous by the Council, all preserved by our network. Sarah's console lit up with incoming data streams. They're sharing their technology with us. Everything the Council kept hidden. This is incredible. But their reunion was interrupted by new alarms. The Council fleet, though scattered, was regrouping. Hundreds more ships were emerging from hyperspace. The Council was calling in everything they had. They won't give up control easily, Zara 9 observed. The Council has ruled unchallenged for millennia. They have forgotten their original purpose, becoming instead what they were meant to prevent: tyrants who suppress advancement and diversity. Marcus studied the tactical display, his military mind already adapting to the new possibilities presented by their allies. Then we remind them, Dr. Chen, can you integrate the shared technology with our systems? Sarah was already working, her fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. The quantum phase drive makes our ships naturally compatible with precursor tech. And these other species, their innovations could revolutionize our capabilities. All preserved species, Battle Formation Omega, Zara 9 commanded. Earth vessels will take point. Show us how humanity fights. The Phoenix moved into position, its systems surging with new power as Sarah integrated their allies' technologies. The Artemis and Dragon fell into formation alongside them, their crews quickly adapting to their enhanced capabilities. Marcus stood, addressing not just his crew but all allied vessels. The Council thought they could contain us, suppress us, keep us from reaching our potential. They forgot something fundamental about humanity. We don't accept cages. We break them. We escape them. We turn them into something new. And we're not alone anymore. Sarah added, the tactical display showing hundreds of allied ships moving into position. Every species here has faced what we faced. They tried to cage us all. Today, that changes, Marcus declared. Today, we don't just fight for Earth. We fight for every species that's been suppressed, for every civilization that's been forced to hide. We fight for a galaxy where advancement isn't feared, where diversity is celebrated, where no one has the right to tell others they're too dangerous to exist. The Council fleet approached, their numbers overwhelming but their formation rigid, predictable. They had relied on superior numbers and technology for so long, they had forgotten how to truly adapt, to innovate. All ships, prepare for quantum phase jump, Marcus ordered. Let's show the galaxy what happens when you try to cage the human spirit, and what happens when we join forces with others who refuse to be caged. The battle that followed would be remembered for millennia. The Council's mighty fleet, faced with technologies they had suppressed and species they had failed to eliminate, was about to learn a harsh lesson. The galaxy was never meant to have a single authority, a single path of development. It was meant to be diverse, challenging, ever-evolving. And humanity, the species they had tried to contain, would help lead the way to this new future. Counterstrike. Space erupted in a dazzling display of energy as the combined fleet engaged the Council forces. The Phoenix led the charge, its quantum phase drive allowing it to dance through the enemy formation, while the Arathi bioships released swarms of living missiles that adapted to enemy evasion patterns in real time. Multiple Council dreadnoughts on intercept course, the tactical officer reported. They're trying to box us in. Commander Rodriguez smiled grimly. That's their mistake. They're still thinking in terms of conventional space warfare. Dr. Chen, activate the Volari Dark Energy Matrix. Sarah's fingers flew across her console, integrating the newly shared Volari technology with their systems. Matrix online. Ready on your mark. All allied ships. Execute Operation Shadowbreaker, Marcus commanded. The space around their fleet suddenly warped, dark energy corridors opening between their ships. The Council's attempt to encircle them became meaningless as the Allied vessels could now instantly relocate through these corridors, turning their enemy's formation against them. Fascinating, Zara 9 observed from her crystalline form. You've already adapted the Volari technology to create tactical advantages we never considered. This is why the precursors chose to wait for species like humanity. The Council fleet's response was predictable. They launched their planet-killer weapons, massive energy beams capable of shattering worlds. But humanity had anticipated this. The Nexus Collective, beams of pure information, had already infiltrated the Council's targeting systems through quantum entanglement channels that Sarah had helped design. Council weapons are targeting their own command ships, Sarah reported with satisfaction. Their rigid hierarchy is working against them. Lower-ranked ships won't fire without direct orders, and their command structure is in chaos. Marcus watched as the Council fleet struggled to adapt. They've forgotten how to think independently. Millennia of enforcing conformity has made them inflexible. He opened a channel to all allied ships. Begin Phase 2. Show them what creativity really means. The Phoenix led a daring charge straight through the enemy center. Council gunners, trained to target ships in normal space, found their weapons passing harmlessly through quantum-phased vessels. The Arathi bioships transformed in real time, their living hulls adapting to enemy weapon frequencies. The Volari vessels manipulated space itself, creating gravitational lenses that turned the Council's own energy weapons back against them. But it was the human vessels that truly shocked the Council. Each innovation shared by their allies was combined in ways no one had imagined. The Phoenix's quantum phase drive synchronized with Volari dark energy technology, allowing it to exist in multiple locations simultaneously. Arathi biotechnology merged with human neural interfaces, creating weapons that could anticipate enemy movements before they happened. Guardian Architect, Sarah called out, her eyes fixed on new readings. I'm detecting massive energy buildups in the Council flagship. They're preparing to use something we haven't seen before. Zera 9's crystalline form pulsed with concern. They're accessing forbidden technologies, weapons that nearly destroyed the galaxy during the last Great War. This is exactly why they were never meant to be more than caretakers. The Council flagship's hull began to crack with dark energy, reality itself warping around it. They're trying to create a rupture in space-time. Sarah realized. They'd rather risk destroying everything than lose control. Then we don't give them the chance, Marcus decided. Dr. Chen, remember that crystal signal? Can we amplify it through our entire fleet? Sarah's eyes widened as she understood. The precursor network, we could reactivate it at full power. But the energy requirements. The Nexus Collective can provide the necessary computational power, Zara 9 offered. The Volari can handle the dark energy containment. The Arathi vessels can adapt to channel the signal. And humanity brings it all together, Marcus finished. All ships prepare for synchronized quantum phase jump. We're going to remind the Council why they were never meant to be gods. The Allied fleet moved in perfect coordination, their technologies merging in a way that hadn't been seen since the height of the precursor civilization. The crystal signal, amplified through hundreds of ships and multiple technological paradigms, reached out across space. The Council flagship's forbidden weapon faltered as ancient protocols buried deep in its systems activated. Across their entire fleet, fail-safes that had been hidden for millennia came to life. The Council had forgotten their own origins, forgotten that they too had once been one of the younger species. Signal reaching critical resonance, Sarah reported, her voice tense with concentration. Precursor network is responding. It's beautiful. Space itself seemed to sing as the full power of the precursor network awakened. The Council ships, built using fragments of stolen precursor technology, found themselves bound by their original programming. Weapons powered down. Engines shut off. The mighty Council fleet hung helpless in space. From the Phoenix's bridge, Marcus opened a channel to the Council flagship. Your reign through fear and suppression is over. The galaxy was meant to be diverse, meant to grow and change. You forgot that. You became what you were meant to prevent. You don't understand what you're doing. The Council Supreme's voice was shrill with panic. Without our guidance, without control, the galaxy will descend into chaos. No, Sarah countered, standing beside Marcus. It will flourish. Every species brings something unique, something valuable. Together, we're stronger than any single authority could ever be. The time of singular control is over, Zara 9 declared. The precursor network has made its judgment. The Council will be disbanded. A new era of cooperation and shared advancement begins. As the Council fleet hung powerless in space, Marcus couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The Council had tried to cage humanity, seeing them as too dangerous, too unpredictable. Instead, they had sparked a revolution that would reshape the galaxy. Not through conquest, but through something uniquely human. The ability to bring people together, to combine ideas in new ways, to turn limitations into opportunities. The battle was won. But the real work of building a new future was just beginning. New Dawn. 1 year after the Council's fall, Earth had changed in ways few could have imagined. The planet's night sky glowed with the light of countless ships moving through the newly established trade routes. Where once humanity had been isolated, now Earth had become a crucial hub in the galaxy's new order. Commander Rodriguez, now Admiral of Earth's expanding fleet, stood in the observation dome of the International Space Station, watching as ships of various species arrived for the first Galactic Concordat summit. The massive Aerethi-high ships pulsed with bioluminescence. Valeri vessels bent light around their dark energy fields. Nexus collective data forms transmitted themselves directly through space, and among them all, Earth's quantum phase ships moved with grace and purpose. Quite a change from a year ago, Sarah noted, joining him at the window. She traded her lab coat for more formal attire, befitting her new role as Earth's Minister of Technological Integration. Hard to believe we were once considered too dangerous to join galactic society. The Council's greatest fear came true, Marcus replied with a slight smile. We did change everything, just not in the way they expected. The station's quantum communications array activated, projecting Zara 9's crystalline form beside them. The delegates are ready to begin. This will be a historic moment. They made their way to the station's Grand Assembly Hall, a new addition specifically designed to accommodate representatives from every known spacefaring species. The room hummed with dozens of languages, translation matrices ensuring seamless communication between all parties. The first meeting of the Galactic Concordat is now in session, Zara 9 announced, her voice carrying across the chamber. We gather not as rulers and subjects, but as equals, each bringing our own strengths to forge a better future. Sarah took the podium first, her presentation displaying the remarkable achievements of the past year. The combination of human innovation with Aerethi biotechnology had led to breakthroughs in medicine that could extend lifespans across all species. Valeri dark energy manipulation, merged with human quantum physics, was revolutionizing space travel. The Nexus Collective's information processing capabilities, enhanced by human neural interface designs, were solving problems that had puzzled the galaxy for millennia. But our greatest achievement, Sarah concluded, isn't technological. It's proving that diversity isn't a threat to be contained. It's the key to unlocking the galaxy's true potential. Marcus followed with a briefing on the new defense initiative. The former Council worlds, initially resistant to change, were gradually accepting the new reality. The combined fleet, incorporating strengths from all member species, had proven far more effective than the Council's rigid military had ever been. We don't seek to rule through force, he explained. Our strength comes from cooperation, from combining our unique perspectives and abilities. The galaxy doesn't need a supreme authority. It needs partners working together. As the summit continued, representatives from various species shared their experiences. The Aerethi spoke of how freedom from Council restrictions had allowed their bioorganic technology to flourish in new directions. The Valeri demonstrated how their understanding of dark energy had expanded through collaboration with others. The Nexus Collective shared how human creativity had helped them develop new ways of processing and understanding information. But it was the arrival of a new delegation that caught everyone's attention. A species from beyond the galaxy's edge, drawn by the changes they had observed. They had been watching, waiting to see if this region of space could move beyond the Council's stagnant control. "We represent many other civilizations," their ambassador announced. "For millennia, we avoided this galaxy due to the Council's restrictive policies. Now we see potential for real exchange and growth." Zeranine's form pulsed with approval. This is what the precursors envisioned. Not a galaxy ruled by fear and control, but one united by curiosity, innovation, and mutual respect. As the summit drew to a close, new treaties were signed, trade agreements established, and joint research initiatives launched. The galaxy was entering an unprecedented age of cooperation and advancement. The Council's nightmare of chaos and destruction hadn't materialized. Instead, freedom had brought stability through diversity. Sarah found Marcus back in the observation dome that evening, watching the continuous flow of ships against the backdrop of Earth's blue sphere. "You know what the Council never understood about humans?" she asked, joining him at the window. "We don't just adapt to survive. We adapt to thrive. And we help others do the same." Marcus nodded. They thought they were containing a threat. Instead, they released exactly what the galaxy needed. A species that could bring people together, that could see possibilities where others saw problems. "The children of Earth have exceeded all expectations," Zaranine added, her form materializing beside them. The precursors believed that eventually, a species would arise that could unite the galaxy not through force or fear, but through innovation and cooperation. They would have been proud to see this day. Beyond the window, a new ship emerged from quantum phase space, another species arriving to join the Concordat. The galaxy was vast, and there would always be new challenges to face. But humanity had learned that they didn't have to face them alone. Every species had something to contribute. Every perspective offered new possibilities. The Council had tried to cage humanity, fearing what they might become. In doing so, they had catalyzed exactly the change the galaxy needed. Earth had risen not as a new empire built on domination, but as the heart of something far more powerful, a civilization where diversity was strength, where innovation was celebrated, and where the future was limited only by imagination. The new dawn had arrived, and its light would reach further than anyone had dreamed possible.